Mark Jeffries, and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, it is a special show as you look at a live shot via Skype of my good friend, Mr. Dean Rojas. Dean is going to be the co-host today, and Dean, I can't thank you enough for taking part in this, man.
Thank you, Matt. Mark, I don't think I've ever co-hosted a show with you with Matt out fishing today. I'm sure he's getting his little butt handed to him by Mr. Christie today.
Yeah, in case you don't know, we set it up on the show yesterday. That is why Matt is not here in studio today. He is going one-on-one against Jason Christie, and I give it up to him. Hey, he's got the nads to call him out and make the phone call and say, you know what, man, I'm catching all kinds of grief. Let's just go out there, you and your boat, me and my boat. Let's see who the best man is. And right now, I don't know what the status is. When we take our first break, I'm going to call him. Hopefully we can get an update. But I placed the odds, Dino, at 18-1. I don't think he has any shot at all.
18-1, I would be more like 50-1. Matt, he's I've known Matt for like 15 to 18 years now, probably as long as you have, Mark.
Yeah.
He was covering the Elite Series back in the day, and he's maturing. He's almost 40 now. He's getting a little ornery, or more ornery, getting his confidence up and everything. So I got to hand it to him too. I think it's good that he mano against one of Oklahoma's best, outside of him and Edwin, obviously.
Yeah.
Great there in Oklahoma. But, it's what's great about it is we can make fun of him all day today. That's not even defend himself. So I've got to treasure things of here that I want to show everyone over the years that Matt and I have gathered up through the years. So you want to stay tuned for its fun stuff.
All right, very cool. First of all, I want to kick things off. Good news coming out of Alabama. Supposedly everything went well with Aaron Martens' surgery. He is in recovery. And obviously our thoughts, a tremendous amount of support from the fishing family across the nation, really across the world, because I know he has a lot of friends over in Japan and many other places across the world. But hopefully his recovery will continue to go well, and everybody's pulling for him, Dino.
Yeah, Aaron's tough, man. Aaron will be just fine. He'll get through all this, and thoughts and prayers with Leslie and Carol and all his family, his beautiful daughter and son. Aaron and I go way back. I met Aaron when I was 17 years old out here in the West Coast. Of course, he grew up not even 100 miles from me down here in San Diego when I lived here. I'm in Hampton now, but and he would come down and fish our lakes for team tournaments. And there would be small ones. It'd be like little wombasses or ABAs or just any kind of team stuff. He fished every weekend. So at that time, growing up, he was like my equal because he was the same age I was, and boy, he used to whoop my ass, man. I mean, he beat me so bad on my home lake, and to watch both of us aspire to our own careers and everything. He's become a really good friend, and and we still battle it out. And he's a unique character. He's a lot of fun. He's always happy. For the most part, unless he loses a fish. But for the most part, he's a good dude, and he makes you laugh just the way he talks and the stuff he talks about. But, he'll be just fine. I'm glad that they caught it. And, I feel very, very positive that he's going to pull out of this probably better than he was before.
Very nice. All right, we're going to talk stories. We're going to talk 20 years ago, what happened. A lot of people don't realize what's behind you there because we have a lot of new listeners. We have a lot of young listeners. Dude, it's been 20 years since that event took place that's on the back of your wall.
Yes, January 17th, 2001. So coming up here in January in 21 will be the 20th year anniversary of when I broke the all-time five fish record in a BSS event. 45 pounds, 2 ounces was the day weight, the first day weight that I had. I ended up having 108.12 over the course of the 4 days. And behind me, you can see the belt. That's my first belt. I had 2 belts. I had the second one here, but that's the Toho belt. Now, you got to remember something, Mark. They didn't give away those belts during that time. So it didn't start until the Elite Series started. This was during a top 150 event. So there was 150 guys out there. There wasn't like just, like now there's 80 or 75, or 100, what we have. So there was twice as many guys out there during this tournament. So very just the whole story, someday I hope to get to talking on on BTL. It'll be fun to do the whole thing because it takes me about an hour and 15 minutes to tell the whole story of how everything went down, where I was at personally, where I was at my career-wise, my whole life. And that thing right there changed everything in my whole direction in life. So it's a cool story. I talk about other anglers that were around me, things that happened, and just it's a really cool story. And I got to tell it last year at one of the last events we had. We had the whole Suzuki team there. We had Cliff Perch, all the guys, Cliff Perch and Chad Pipkins and Brandon Card and the other ones. Anyways, I had the whole group there. I had the whole Suzuki team there. And we had just finished a hibachi dinner. It was great. And I had all the head honchos there, and they're all like, we want to hear the story. I said, no, you don't, because it's going to take me an hour. They're like, I don't care. Everybody get a drink. We'll go over here in this room. And I sat there and I told the whole story about how it all came about. And it was incredible reliving it again because I see it in my mind. I watched every single one of those fish bite my bait. In fact, I have it right here. I'm going to show it to you in a little bit. But it's incredible to watch a 10-pounder 15 feet away from you just eat your bait. And there's grass everywhere. You're like, and you're going to. It's a 50-50 deal whether you're going to hook them and land them or you're going to lose them. And if you lose them, it's going to be a heartbreak. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of great stories behind all that. But I just can't believe it's 20 years. I've been doing this a long time. This is my 22nd year on tour, and I love it. It's a part of me. It's in my soul, and even now, I just want to go fishing. The sun's coming up here in the desert right now over Lake Havasu, and man, it's beautiful out there right now. But I'm glad I'm here talking with you folks today.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Dino, you can book that date. You are booked for the 20th anniversary date on BTL. We will take an entire show, and that will be your opportunity to explain and talk about that incredible day that took place in Florida. The other thing, too, is there's some guys on the instant feedback that threw out a pretty good idea that I'm going to discuss with you after the show. Mark in Minnesota, great idea. Don't want to say anything about it right now, but he threw out a very, very cool idea that you and I will talk about later. All right, the other thing is, all these years that I've known you, I don't think I've ever asked you this. Do you have one of the lures that you actually used on that day?
Yes, I do. And the cool thing about it, I have my original jersey, I have my original pants, I have my original hat, I have my whole complete uniform that I wore during that time. I kept all those clothes, for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I kept it. It's just kind of nostalgia. I do have the boat as well. I have my world record boat that I broke the record in. It's just sitting on the other side of this wall right here. So, it's like I said, it's a piece of me. It's a part of history. And, the way it all shaped up, I don't know if it's ever going to happen again, because this is before GPS. This is before any of the, the mapping, any of that stuff. This was just, you don't even know, you're just going fishing. And to have those kind of fish just show up. And what's cool about it is, Mark, you can ask any of the tour guys who are around, they can remember what they were doing that day or when they heard about it. It was like the biggest thing. So I get people that come up to me sometimes, just fans. I'm like, man, I was there, Dean. I was there at Big Tail Hole Marina when you brought those 45 pounds of fishing. He says, I saw it with my own eyes. And, it's cool, man, to see Fishburne up there on the weigh-in stage with me and Pee Wee Powers, rest in peace, Pee Wee. Great people there. I mean, it's just, the whole thing was just an amazing experience. But I do have it right here, and I'm going to show it to you. This was made by D&J Plastics. It's now Big Bite Baits, but back then I was sponsored by Lake Fork Tackle, and Dennis from D&J Plastics was pouring their baits for me. So I ended up catching on a white lizard of all things. Okay, now we've got a lot of great things that we use now, and I'm going to share a lot of sight fishing stuff that are kind of pretty secret that I've used over the years to, win at Toledo, win at a lot of other places, and a lot of top fives and stuff. Little tricks that I like to do with the baits, but everything. But a white lizard. And everybody goes, well, it's just a white lizard. I said, yeah, but back then, you got to remember, Florida's water's tannic, and it's very difficult to see your bait down there. So white shows up real well. You can see it on the bed in and around the area, and I use it as a guide, to kind of move it around the bed and kind of see how the fish are reacting to the bait, so I know exactly where to throw back in there again. But it's amazing when you're sitting there working this thing and something this big just eats the whole dang thing. Now what? It's incredible. I just if you ever watch the video on YouTube, you can see me catch a 9.5 pounder on the white lizard. You'll see it. It's plain as day. But all that footage was on day 2. It was not day 1. So, but I'm catching a 9.5 pounder and a lot of big ones on it. So awesome.
All right. I want to know, when we were at Falcon Lake and Paul Elias and Terry Scroggins came really close, what were you thinking then? Did it even bother you? And a couple people on the instant feedback do you think the record will ever be broken?
Well, going to your first question, going to Falcon, well, let me back up, because there was a time that it almost got broken again, and that was at Santee Cooper, okay? About a year or two before that, the one that Preston Clark won. Yeah. When he broke my 4-day. Okay, I had 108.12, and I think he had like 115, I think, was the 4-day. Incredible week. I have the belt right here. I'll show it to you in a little bit. But it was, I think I weighed 103 pounds. So that was 12 pounds off the mark. But, it's still, you catch over 100 pounds of balance in a tournament like that. So going into Falcon, I didn't know about the lake. I mean, I knew it was really good, but I didn't know, that it could, possibly be the deal. But even when I broke the record in 2001, Mark Davis weighed 42 pounds on the second day. Wow. 42 pounds. After I caught 45, he caught 42 the second day. All right. I caught 36 pounds on the second day. And, Mark had 42, had 6 more pounds than I did. Aaron, I think, had a 40-pound day, or high 30s. It was incredible, the amount of fish that were up there during that time. And I'll tell a story about it all and how it all shaped up. But Falcon was such a different deal because there was a lot of unknowns. It was the first time that we'd ever been there, to fish a big tournament. And it was peaking. The lake was at its best at that time. So when, and I'll never forget, it's a cool little story, but when Paul Elias ended up breaking the record, but I don't know, what's he got, 135 pounds or something like that, some ungodly number. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I applaud him. That's awesome. So I'm driving back, okay, because I missed the final round, but I finished 14th in that event. And I'll never forget, I had 27.5 the first day, and I had a terrible day at 24.15 the second day, which barely got me in. Then I weighed 32 on the third day and came up 8 ounces shy of making the top 10 cut. If I would have made the top 12 cut, I would have got another belt, because I had 97. I had ungodly weight. I would have went over 100 pounds again on that. But I had to go home. So I'm driving, right? I'm driving between, leaving, Zapata, and it's a long drive. And all of a sudden the phone rings. Of course, the guys, we all stay connected and everything. And all I hear is, Rojas, you are one lucky son of a. I said, why? Because Terry Big Show Scroggins just weighed 44.4. 44 pounds, 4 ounces.
Yeah.
And man, I'm like, whew, there's another shot at her, man. It's incredible that the record has stayed like that for so long. And to answer your question about if it's ever going to be broken, records are made to be broken. With the way things are changing now, under the MLF format, I know Bass is still continuing their platform, which I love fishing for 5 fish. Don't get me wrong; it's what I grew up doing. But a lot of the stuff is evolving and changing our environment, and just even outside of what we're doing politically and so forth. So I don't know if it ever will, and that's why I cherish it so much, because it's an iconic thing for me in my life and a very important thing. But if somebody does break it, I'll be the first one to applaud them, because I know how hard it is. I mean, to watch, Chris Lane catch a 35-pound limit, down there at St. John's. And I go up to him, I said, man, that's a great job, buddy, but you're still 10 pounds off the mark. He goes, I know.
Yeah.
Fish were beautiful. I mean, they're big, 7-pounders, 8 pounders. I mean, but it makes you really appreciate, his weight, and then that thing up there. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I can still be in the boat right now. I'm picturing myself in the boat as I'm idling back to the ramp and going over my mind about, how much weight I got in the boat. It was incredible to sit there and to think I've got 2 10s, a 9.5, an 8/12, and a 7.5 is my small one. And to sit there and go, I have over 40 pounds. No, there's no way. There's no way you can catch 40 pounds in a tournament, Anyways, it was. You got to listen to the story, because I get really deep into it, and it's really cool. But if it gets broken, it gets broken. But at least I have that. And I've got everything, because I had the day of all days that I think everybody who bass fishes, dreams of, a 9-pound average for 5.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear the story. I know a lot of people are really intrigued with what happened on that day. But I kind of have a weird question. And this just came to me, Dean. And I see what the procedure, I've seen it for years, what the procedure is on what they do with the fish after you guys weigh them in, or after a weigh-in takes place. Typically they have runners, and then the runners take the fish down to the pontoon boat or whatever. What did they do with those 5 fish after you weighed them in?
So I'm going to go through the whole weigh-in procedure, because it's really cool. Okay, so back then we had these like bins. Okay, they're like, about like that high, that wide, something that, 15 pounds fills it up. I mean, that's what we used to catch. I mean, that's what you did. And so you have to wait in line. And I'm going to show you real quick, because it's really cool. David Smith from Recognition, so he's the one who does all the trophies. Those are the original weigh slips. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty cool.
Let's see. Those are the original weigh slips that back then they had to write them down. It wasn't this computer stuff. So when you did that, it was a procedure. You had to go through 3 or 4 of those type of, stations. So I go on there and they go, how many you got? I got 5. Okay, they write down 5. I take my slip and I have 2 bags. I have 2 10s in one bag, and I've got the 3 in another bag. So I walk up to the bin where the guy's sitting. He's going to check my fish to make sure they're alive. So I throw the 2 10s up there, and it covers the complete bin. And the guy, I'll never forget his expression when he sat there and he looked at it, and he didn't know. He just sat there, and he just looked at them. He dumped them out, and they're just massive. I mean, just massive fish. And they're beautiful, big females. And he sat there and he looked at me. He goes, "There's 2." I said, "Here's my other bag." And so when it in there, they had to use 2 bins, because the 2 10s covered the one, and then the other 3 on that. At that time, Dewey Kendrick comes up to me, And so I'm sitting there, and Dewey says, here you got him. And I said, yeah, I got him pretty good. Well, Aaron Martens, okay, this is really cool stuff. Aaron Martens broke the record right in front of me, okay? And when I tell the story, I'm going to get into depth about Aaron Martens, because all that happened during that time was really cool, but I knew what I had, but he didn't know what I had. So when he got up there, all of the press went up there and took pictures. He broke the record. He weighed 33 something that first day. And so when he got off stage, okay, he went around the back of the trailer. Of course, during that's where all the photographers were at. So they all ran around the back of the trailer to interview Aaron, and as they should. He just broke the record. So Fishburne was announcing at the time, and Pee Wee's up there up on the stage. I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting, and I'm excited because I know I've got over 40. I've got him beat. I got really big weight. And so Dewey comes back to me. He goes, "Let me see what you got." And I open my bag up, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna cream Aaron. I mean, you got this thing, no problem, So then he runs up and tells Fish to call all the media to come out front. So they come running around the corner out front, Tim Tucker, Steve Price, all the Louis Stout, all the bigwigs, from Bass, and all the great people. And it's just incredible. As I walk up the stage, I remember Aaron leaning up against the trailer as I'm walking the stage with his arms folded like this, because it goes way back, and we've battled each other for 25 years, It's just one of those things. I mean, and that's been me a lot of times, sitting there going like this. I got my butt handed to him by him. So and I walked up there with the bag, and back then they used big laundry baskets, for the weighing procedure, and dumped the fish in there, and it was an incredible moment at that time. I'm not going to spoil it here, but after that, they took those fish, and they had a huge live release boat in the back. They had huge tanks on it, great aeration. Bass does a great job with their live release boat, and so they got released back in the lake again. So they're, I don't know if they're still alive now. It was 20 years ago, but hopefully somebody got to catch one of them and enjoy a great memory as much as I did.
I just wondered if you walked down there and saw the release. That would have been kind of cool, because here history was made. And 45 pounds, I bet you were just a mess, though, with everybody talking to you and everything.
Mark, that would be like hitting a walk-off grand slam in the World Series and wanting the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get the ball and play, you're just inundated with people and your teammates and fans and all that stuff. And it just gets lost. It's just one of the, you want to, try and have all those memories and all those great things. But man, it's like at that moment, that win, I mean, that weight, it meant so much to me that I knew the fish were going to be fine. And for me, I was just in shock because I couldn't believe the weight. But it was just a heck of a weight. Wait till you hear the story. It's it's good. It's really good.
All right,
There's a lot of stuff that happens that people don't know about.
Very nice. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, come back with some questions on the instant feedback. So get your questions queued up for Dean. We will go to the instant feedback right here on a Tuesday with our special guest, Mr. Dean Rojas. Everybody stay tuned.
The search for the best combination of value and performance is over. It ends with Elite TI2. From high-res views of active imaging to mapping in real time with Genesis Live, the high-powered performance of Elite TI2 continues to dominate. And now, wirelessly share sonar waypoints and routes between TI2 displays. Get up to $200 cash back when you purchase a Lowrance Elite TI2 or Hook Reveal display. Visit Lowrance.com/offers for details.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I want to share to you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday with our special guest, Dean Rojas. And Dean, I think we're going to check in with Matt right now. I think I have him.
You got him? Good.
Matt, let's see. Matt, you there?
What's up, Mark? What's going on, Dino?
Hey, buddy. How we doing this morning?
Oh, a little bit of a slow start, but we're showing some signs of life here. Just put one about 3.5 in the box.
All right, so what do you have?
I got more than one right now. Early in the day, I got one about 3.5, and then I have a 15.5 incher. So I've only got 2 right now, but one of them's the right one. I think so, unless Jason has all 5s and 6s, which is a possibility.
Well, I don't know if you know or not, Matt, but we talked to Jason Christie about 15 minutes ago. And
Don't tell me what he's got. Don't tell me what he's got. You got to keep it secret. Right now I'm throwing the Ned rig, guys. I realize I probably am not a better spinnerbait fisherman, crankbait fisherman, jig fisherman, or flipper than Jason Christie, but I would venture to say that my Ned rig skills are on par, if not superior to his.
Well, you better.
Mainly because I don't think he's ever thrown one before.
All right, man, keep plugging away. We're not going to keep you. Maybe at the end of the show, we'll check in once again with you. And man, just keep grinding, dude.
Keep plugging away.
Let me just ask one question. Is there hope?
Dino, is there hope?
For Matt?
Yeah.
No hope at all.
Wow.
Hey,
I feel like that might be some reverse psychology.
You're on Jason's home lake. It's man. I would put down the Ned rig, and if you're gonna go down big, baby. Start throwing a big squirt, slow roller spinnerbait. Do something. Don't.
I have found a lot of ways to fail, so I am not afraid to fail with a Ned rig or a spinnerbait.
All right, man, keep going. We'll check in with you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
all right.
How's Dean doing?
All good, man.
He's a mess.
All right, see you.
I told you, hosting the show with Mark is not as easy as it seems, is it, Dean?
Oh, geez.
Oh,
All right, hold on. No, not the stick. All right, see you guys.
See you.
later.
All right, there you have it. Matt going after it, him going head-to-head with Jason Christie, and hopefully we'll check in with him later. Now, you have something from Mr. Matthew Pangrac, don't you, Dino, in your possession?
Matt is a mess.
Yes,
That's why we all love him.
Yeah.
He's
Don't you?
intricate. I mean, the things he thinks about are so out there in left field that it just makes you wonder what his train of thought really is. It's a mess. But Matt, over the years, back when we did the fish and chips event, those were a lot of fun, Mark.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of when we're going to start those up again. So back then, Matt Pangrac, well, he still does today. He runs his mouth all the time. How he can beat you. He always wants to go head-to-head with you, kind of like he did with Christie, kind of like he did with us. But there are times when I have to call him out, and because he gets too much. And I said, well, then why don't you put $100 on it then? Oh, no, I can't do that. $1. I said, no, man, if you're going to man up, put $100 on it, okay? Okay, dude, fish and chips, $100, all right? I said, okay, fish and chips, $100, all right? So that was in 2011, folks. There is an autographed $100 bill from Matt Pangrac. You read that? And you know what it says? This isn't over, okay? Well, he has yet to beat me, okay, in the fish and chips event. Oh, I just want to kind of show you a little bit of something that he does not have. And those are all of the fish and chips trophies and plaques. 2009 overall champion, 2011 champion. Look at those beautiful babies.
Those are cool.
They are cool. Compliments of Dave Smith, obviously.
Yeah.
Does a great job with all the trophies. But I'm gonna get up here where you guys can see. I'm sure you guys want to see the belt. There she is right there. Lake Tahoe. And then and the beauties above her. Above it.
God, those are giant.
Oh, it's massive. And then there's my plaque for that win. And Mark, what often gets forgotten is after the Toho event, I won the very next one on Toledo.
Huh.
On Toledo. Let's see, right there. So it was a back-to-back. After I broke the record, January, I won the one in Toledo. And then that was that's my first one. That's the cover of the Bassmaster magazine.
Cool.
45-2. And then one of my heroes are here. I have Bill Dance autographed. Very nice. And then me with the man down here. Roland Martin. We did a frog show down at Clear Lake, California. One of my favorite picks. And then that's my first Bassmaster cover right there. Ironically, I have a straw.
Look how young you look. Holy crap.
That was in 97. That was my first cover of Bassmaster magazine.
Wow.
And I have another one that I'll show you there, but that's kind of that. And I have my frog wall. And then there is the actual catch itself with Pee-wee, Fishburne.
So,
on stage.
Dean, is that the only shot? I'm not talking about that specific picture. I'm talking about the shot. Is that the only shot that exists of those 5 fish?
No, that's like one of the best ones. But
Okay.
I'll give you I have an on deal here. Can you see that?
Yes.
So these were some of the ones that Gerald Crawford took back in the day. And I gotta set this down somewhere, but I'll rifle through you. You can take a look at it. So that's another one there. I took a picture of every single fish, and then he had these made for me, so I can display them.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was the day after. That was the last day of the event when I won. And I'll have all these up. This was at Toledo when I won that the very next month. I mean, that's just incredible. The pictures, nice, vibrant stuff. So, and they're all on hardback, so it's cool. And that was my final day catch that afternoon. I think I weighed like 13.5 pounds.
Wow. Fish.
But
the look on Fish face is like, priceless.
Right there. Oh yeah, right here. This is it. So I haven't put them up yet because I'm still trying to get everything put away. But I definitely want to do that because it's like when you see all that, it's just part of history and part of my life and everything. So pretty cool stuff. But that right there, I'm really proud of right there.
The red trophy.
Yep. Last year when I won Smith Lake. That sucker's heavy, guys. That thing's about 48 pounds. I mean, it's solid. It's all aluminum, man. It ain't going anywhere. But pretty cool stuff. I can show. Let me show you some more stuff. So the biggest bass I ever caught in my life was 13-12, and I caught that during a photo shoot. Was in January, but that caught. See that or not? And that's when I just caught her. That picture right there, and then that's the cover of the magazine. So you see that I have a pretty big smile on my face. You know Gary Judici, right?
Oh yeah.
Gary Judici is laying in the bottom of that boat right there. Okay. He's laying in the bottom of the boat. Tim Tucker, rest in peace, Tim Tucker, was in his underwear, and the water temperature was 53 degrees taking that shot. And those two, they were best of friends, as you know.
Yeah.
And Tim Tucker's saying a lot of, probably I can't repeat it, but it's, to me and to Gary Judici, he was laying in the bottom of that boat right there, about how cold he is, sitting there in his underwear, taking that picture.
That's funny.
But it got me the cover of Bassmaster magazine, and I think I've done the cover 4 times now. So, but cool things there. So it was a 13-12. That one was I donated her to the Share Lunker program in Texas. I caught her out of Sam Rayburn. She was number 301 back then, and they kept her for 2 years. I got to visit her twice when I lived in Texas, and I would go see her. And they let me in see her, and then of course I got a free mount for her and everything. So cool stuff. And then one of the cooler ones I've got, and this was from you, Mark Jeffries.
Yeah.
Remember this day, Matt Painter was in the boat. I think it was his first shoot ever that he did with you.
Yeah.
And frog bite had just started. That was up at Smith Lake in Virginia, and the explosion that fish did, it was a 4-pounder. I mean, you were just right behind me when it happened, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and, that was a pretty cool story because that area that you were in was really, really small. And back then, this was kind of new territory for a lot of people that were covering the Elite Series. And there were a few boats in there, but I was the only boat. My boat driver, I was up on the trolling motor, and the boat driver, dude, he was so nervous because he thought that he was going to get yelled at and screamed at. And I kept telling him, I go, no, dude, I know what to do. We're cool. Don't worry about it. And the next thing I know, that's the shot that I was able to get, being one of the very, there were only 2 boats in there. I think me and James Overstreet were the only 2 people that were in there.
Yeah, it was incredible. I remember the tree. I remember the explosion was so loud that it was so quiet in the back of that pocket that it scared the heck out of everybody. And then I set the hook, and it's a 4.5 pounder that just smoked it, and it's ending up finishing second or third to Kevin Van Dam that year. Man, I was so close. So close. But anyways, this is one of the cool shots that James Overstreet, the world famous James Overstreet, took of me in Orange, Texas. I think the last time we were there for an elite back a while back, but kind of cool, kind of a backdrop of the whole, Louisiana type look and stuff that you would see. And I was skipping my frog up underneath the cypress trees.
That's cool.
And yeah, I ended up finishing 10th in that one. And that picture is 6 feet wide, as wide as the door is. So it's pretty wide.
That's very cool.
Cool stuff. One of the coolest things that I like is that was the Hartwell Classic, the cold one. Remember we had that one that was super cold?
Yeah.
So they gave this to us because one of the mornings of that were just beautiful. And it was the red before the storm that was brewing and coming, it was incredible. So that's when I led the first day with, 23 pounds or something like that. But kind of walk around, it's a little workshop, it's work. A lot of my prep time goes on in here to get ready for the season. So I spend a lot of time in here, and it's all about fishing in here. When I come in here, I'm in my element. I can do what I need to do, get everything ready, look at my $100 bills, all that good stuff.
All right, let's do this, Dino. Let's go to the instant feedback. There's a ton of questions here.
Okay.
Dave wants to know, do you miss the wiggle wart that you had to give Matt?
Do I miss the wiggle wart? See, that's another Matt Paingrad question.
Yeah.
My wiggle wart box. I think people want to see that. Oh, I just happen to have them right here. So these are like super secret ones. And when we had classics at Grand Lake, Matt Paingrad saw some of my custom painted wiggle warts.
Over a little bit more. The other way.
Oh,
there you go. Wow.
And then that one, purple. So these wiggle warts, I bought them. Ish Monroe called me one time. He goes, "Hey man, there's a tackle store up here in Northern California, and I just found the mother load of original wiggle warts." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dude, they got like 400 of them, all in like red, like that color right there." And I go, "Oh," he goes, "I bought 200. I said, "I want the rest of them." So I went ahead and bought them. And I got the box over. Let me show you right quick.
Wow. That's a lot of original wiggle warts.
All right, I'm gonna bring you with it because it's so cool. Because you'll appreciate that. Anybody who's a wiggle wart guy will appreciate this. But I got to get the box now. But it's cool. So, anyways, I end up buying.
Oh, did we lose a signal?
He's a good friend of mine. And I said, "Well, I can't, but I want to get them painted." He goes, "Okay, well, I have a friend, a Japanese painter that can."
We're kind of losing the signal a little bit there, Dino.
All
right, there we go.
So, anyways, let me get this set up. Sorry, I probably should have had all this, but it's good spare of the moment, anyways.
Yeah.
So, look at that. These are original Storm boxes.
Wow.
Okay. So I bought them like this. And so I only opened up a few. I opened up, 50 of them. So I sent 40 of them to Japan. Okay? I didn't have them painted here. These are painted in Japan. Okay? Not the feather one. No. So these are unique colors that you don't see. And every time that I'd fish the Classic at Grand Lake, my marshals were like, "Where did you get that? Where did you get those wiggle warts?" So that's how they come originally in the package. See that right there?
Yeah.
Those are original.
Wow.
Right there?
Wow.
So this is my app because I know that these are not, these are worth a lot of money. I know that, but they're worth more to me because I have I'm a big wigglewort guy. I love throwing it, and I've caught a lot of big fish on them. So I had them custom painted. So then once Ish found out that I had them, I had to give him some. So I traded him some for all that stuff. But, really cool colors. Once you put, Gamakatsu hooks on them, just awesome, beautiful.
Wow.
So anyways, going back to the story about Panger and Wigglewort, no, he can go ahead and have that one because I've got lots of them.
Yeah, you have a few. All right.
I love Wigglewort.
They're awesome. All right, Dave also, he wants to know what model Blazer are you running? Are you running the 650?
Yes. So this year, actually, when I made the switch to Blazer, one of the things that they wanted me to do, and I wanted to do it as well, is I wanted to design a bass boat. And so when I made the move over to Blazer, that's when everything started. Keith Kraft over there at Blazer, he's a great dude, and we got with the engineers there and designed and started the mock-up of the 650. Fast forward, 2 years now, we launched the 650 about 2 months ago, and it's the boat that I'm currently running now on the water. And we've got two of the guys on the MLF. We have Cliff, the Cajun Baby Crochet, fishing at his 650, and Jason Lambert and his 650, and they love it. They absolutely love it. We got Takarani on the Elites right now with the 625, which is a fabulous boat as well, is what I've driven the last couple of years. But the 650 is probably the best kept secret in bass boat that nobody knows about. It's fast, it's stable, big platform to fish out of, and not a whole lot of fluff. And what I mean by fluff is it's really simple. There's not a lot of computer stuff, not a lot of, it's a fishing machine. It's built to go fast, get you there safely, softly, and do what you do best, and that's catch bass and get you back. And an incredible boat. We put a lot of neat designs into it to make it fishing friendly. And it's a fabulous boat. You can ask Cliff, you can ask Jason, you can ask anybody, and the people that have actually seen it. They love the boat, and they have a list this long of people that want to buy it. I mean, they've already got, I don't know. Even I know when we were at the class, they had like 30 or 40 boats already on waiting list. People were wanting to buy them. Blazer has a unique fan group. Okay, they've been around a long time. And those people have been waiting for something like this for a long time. That encompasses a big boat, the speed, the way the boat looks, the way it handles. It doesn't do anything stupid. It's done. I mean, it sits and it's fast, and it fishes wonderful. Just like the older Blazers, which were light and fast, a little squirrely at times, but that's people like to go fast. That comes with it. So, but this boat is a joy to drive. It's incredible to listen to my boat officials compliment me on the boat this year and even last year when I ran the 625 because I was the only one running a Blazer. And it's so different than all the other ones that I believe they're a step ahead of all of them in the sense of the whole design where there's speed and there's comfort and a dry ride all in one. And that was one of my big things that I wanted. I kept pushing to them and telling them that it needs to be that way. If somebody's going to spend $75,000 on a bass boat, it can't hurt to drive. I mean, it's got to be a nice ride where they're comfortable. They don't get wet. The boat does whatever whatever the driver wants it to do, and fish. It is not a pleasure boat. I mean, that boat is built for fishing. I mean, for tournament guys, for team guys, for the tour guys like myself. It's what I always wanted, and it's simple, and it's everything, unlimited storage. I can put 28 rods in one of the rod boxes. I can put an 8.5-foot rod up there I want. It's wide open, unlimited storage in the boat, incredible. I'm just tickled to death because the response has been overwhelming. They're pumping them out like crazy right now, so it's really good. A lot of excitement around the Blazer 650.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take another break, come back with more questions on the instant feedback. So get your questions ready for Dean. We'll be right back here on a Tuesday.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done. While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Dean Rojas, he will be back just in a few minutes there. He's back. And we're going to go to the instant feedback, to questions. I want to let everybody know tomorrow, Bradley Hallman and Matt will be back in studio. Pretty cool stuff they have going on with Big Bite Baits. We're going to talk about the prototype, and I believe Bradley's going to actually have a sample on this bait that him and Matt have been working on, so we're going to do that. And then I also want to let everybody know I tried to get a hold of Jason, couldn't get him to get an update from Jason, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. In case you were late, Matt is going up against Jason Christie on a lake in northeastern Oklahoma, and we checked in with Matt. He said he had a 3-pounder and one other fish, so we will wait and see what the developing stories are from this day on the water. And Dino, they're fishing 8 hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure Matt is in shape to fish 8 hours. He spin out like 3 times today.
Yeah.
So that's going to wear on him because he can't get a bite. But, that's great. I love it. You got to make fun of him. I can do that because I've known him for so long. And we as you know, Mark, get into debates with him, and it's never ending. And
it's good.
Incredible.
Good
He's
stuff.
A very unique person. So
can't wait to hear the stories tomorrow. And by the way, folks, they are taping. We couldn't do live. Some people ask me, hey, Mark, how come you didn't do it live? We couldn't do it live because on this particular lake, the cell service is horrible. So each of them have a camera in the boat, and then Matt is going to actually edit and produce and make a show, and it will be on the Bass Talk Live YouTube page. So something definitely to look forward to, but I'm sure we're going to hear stories tomorrow when Brad is in studio on what went down with Matt going up against Jason Christie. All right, let's go to the instant feedback. If you do not have access to the instant feedback, in other words, if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to ask Dean a question, you have to go over to basszone.com, click on the BTL link, click on where it says watch the show live, and boom, the instant feedback is right there, and you can ask Dean a question. All right, first one, Derek in Ohio wants to know, Dean, how do you realize quickly that a frog bite is not the deal?
Derek, that's a great question, and it's something that time of year plays a big key into that. Usually in the springtime like this, a warm night, the frog window of actually catching them on the bait itself shrinks. As the days get longer and the water temperature rises, obviously that frog bite opens up. When I say that, you can catch them consistently doing that. So water temperature is key, and you'll know right away within the first 10 to 15 minutes. But there are times where you have to find the right area as well to throw it in. So there's a lot of nuances to it that you have to utilize to figure out where they're at. If they're in the grass, or if they're up on the bank, or out flooded trees, or whatever it might be. They'll let you know if they're on it or not. But usually in the summertime, as you know, frog bite, you can throw it from the morning all the way to the evening. In the springtime, small window. In the fall, same thing. You usually don't catch them when it's cool out. There's a window in the afternoon, like between 11:30, 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, where they bite it really good. Anytime past 3 o'clock, they just don't bite it. It's weird that all the years I've thrown it, you figure that out, and there's a pattern to it. But water temperature is key. Obviously, the warmer, the better off you're going to be on a frog bite all day long.
All right. Several people want to know, are the bass still on the beds at Havasu?
Yes, they are. They'll spawn here all the way until May or June, in that range. Even when it's 100 and something degrees out, you'll still find the fish on beds. And it's like that anywhere. It's nature's way of making sure that everything is spread out, along those lines. And, this is a fun time to fish for me, especially at home, and even with all this stuff going on in the world. And I want to mention this too, Matt, because this is the first time that I've actually been home, during this time here in my house. And I know a lot of the anglers have said the same thing, but when you do this for 22 years, and you're somewhere on some lake and people are calling you from the house going, man, they're killing them here on Havasu. They're catching 7s and 8s and this and that. And you're stuck somewhere catching 1.5-pounders. You want to be home. And so this whole break that we have right now, I'm enjoying it. I am loving it because I'm able to do things now that I haven't done in so long that I love to go fishing. I went fishing with my wife last week. I mean, she never goes fishing with me. And she wanted to go. We went to the lake and she caught 3 or 4 and we had a great time. It was just really cool to do all that stuff because when I'm fishing and when I'm competing, I'm all in. Everything I do, that has my main focus. And it's nice to back up and not have to be that way when you're just out pleasure fishing, around here. So it's been fun. But yes, the fish are on beds right now in Havasu, and my favorite bait right there, the big bite warmouth. Now, this little dude right here in the clear water is awesome. And we got the guillotine and the big bite deal, which is a lot like our killer gill for our fighting frog, and then our warfish. This is our newest color that we have out. Now, the cool thing about these baits, this is what I used to win Toledo Bend on back in 11. So they've been out for a long time. But it's so cool because they're great sight fishing baits, and they're also, I'm going to show you my box of them. So whenever I go, I go to, when I'm sight fishing, oops, they're falling out, but you can see the colors, all different variations of the warmouth. Tennessee shad, sunfish, red ear, bluegill. I mean, we have all different kinds and different colors and so forth. So you can pick whatever color will get them fired up. And it's a cool deal because the bait itself, there's a slit in the middle of it like there, so it compresses. Okay, so it's real limber. I mean, and that's what you want whenever you're on the bed. So any little movement causes this tail just to, like the bluegill are feeding on it. And the way you hook it is through the side, so it lays on its belly. If you ever watch a bluegill, when it eats, it doesn't eat like this. It turns its head sideways, like it's eating something off the bottom of the lake. So that's exactly what you want. And the warmouth is awesome. They also, I'll use too, is the real deal shad. Okay, now this originally was a swim bait that was made by Big Bite. Okay, but I use it for my sight fishing because, again, it has a slit in the middle down here. It's very soft, pliable, real smooth, but it looks like a fish that's trying to attack the eggs and so forth. Again, a lot of different colors that I have here. You know, and this is just my added to my sight fishing box. And, you know, talking about it earlier with the white lizard for catching those back there, we never had this back then. We never had the warmouth. We never had the real deal shad. We never had any of those great things from Big Bite. All those things came after that and the evolution of bed fishing. And so I'm going to show you some stuff that I had made, tricked out long time ago when I grew up in San Diego.
Hey, Dean, real quick, do you have a hook to where you could show people how to rig that warmouth? Because I'm sure a lot of people are looking at going, okay, how do you rig that?
Yes. Okay. So we're going to go to my hook chart right here. See that right there? Those are all the numbers of extra wide gap Gamakatsu Superline hooks. Okay. So we're going to take the number 4 right here. We're going to take that one out. So it's a chart that I use, especially for Austin, because he's learning all the hook sides right now, my son. But we got the hook here, got the warmouth. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top. And we're gonna come right outside, right on the back side of the eye. Okay? We're gonna slide that all the way up. You can see that, okay? And then we're gonna take the hook, and we're gonna come through there like that. So you want to lay flat. Okay, on there like that. So where it's at, so when the fish clamps down on it, this gets out of the way and you got it. Okay? So there's another view of the hook on that side.
That's really cool. And for those people that are listening to the replay on iTunes, take the time to check out this video and watch what Dean's doing, because I know so many people out there have often wondered, okay, how do you rig this thing? Well, you're getting a valuable lesson on how to rig this thing for sight fishing. And I know all across the country, this stuff's getting ready to happen if it's not happening already.
Yeah, and that's the real deal shad right there. And the same type thing where you come in off the side and you exit right on the back of the eye of the bait. Okay, and then you slide it all the way up, top of the shank. Turn it around. Again, laying nice and flat. Exactly what you want. And as you're sitting there shaking it down, that tail is just going nuts. You know, and it's an awesome, awesome bait for sight fishing. And this is stuff that I learned out here out west. You know, and just brought it to the forefront with big bites. And we sell a lot of this stuff, especially the warmouth. After I won Toledo Band on it, it was an incredible deal because it's something that it looks like a bluegill, but it's soft and pliable that you're gonna catch them. It doesn't have a treble hook or any appendages to it. It's soft, it's pliable. When they go to eat that thing, man, you got them. I mean, you just drill them with that 4-aught extra wide gap Superline Gamakatsu, and you got them. I mean, it's just I do it over and over and over again. And it's just cool to see all the cool colors that they have, especially just beautiful. Look like sunfish. Gorgeous, gorgeous bait. So and then, my arsenal too. So let me just kind of show you some of the stuff. This is made by a friend of mine. This is called a chicken foot. See that thing right there? It's only about 2.5 inches long, 3 inches long. And the hook itself, you see those tentacles? All I do is I hook the actual tentacle, and I'm going to show you that. Because when you're sight fishing, a lot of times they just pick it up by the tail, okay? And you want to be able to catch them by I got to use a smaller hook because that's a small bait. And these are things when you really need to catch one, okay? When they're real finicky and they're really not wanting to do anything and they're just picking up the bait. It's a small little bait. See that right there? So we're going to go in there. We're going to go in about half an inch, slide it on up, turn it around. And you see there's no mass there, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to hook actually one of the tentacles on the side. Okay, so we're just off to the side of one of the tentacles there. See that right there? So when he comes to grab it, you've got him. I mean, you're breaking through, an 1/8 of a centimeter of plastic before you get good hook penetration. And so you're not going to lose a fish. You're going to get a good hook into him, and it's white, and you'll be able to see it. And a bass that's 2 pounds is going to eat the whole thing. All right, so and you got him. I mean, it's done because that gets out of the way. Then all you have is hook. You got them. So these are like little things. I use like little reapers as well. See those little reapers? Reapers used to be the thing back here, the deal here in California for a long time. But they would be under shad patterns, but these are my sight fishing baits. So when things get really tough, I just put on this right here and they just eat the whole thing. I mean, it's amazing to watch some of that stuff. And I have different colors and different styles and so forth. And then you have a reaper with the cut tail. Same thing where I just go ahead and put the actual hook in one of the tentacles. And as soon as he bites it, boom, you got him. It's over. So little tricks like that on the tour, you got to have that stuff. I mean, it's just because when you got to catch them. And you have to have every advantage that you can possibly get against the best guys in the world. I mean, I've been doing it for 22 years, man, and I know, and I love it. I love going up against the best guys because it makes me better every year. I learn more, and I try to keep an open mind about different techniques and, the Ned rig and the Tokyo, all that stuff. It's just, there's a lot of information out there that we can learn from. And, what's cool is everything's on YouTube now. So if you don't know anything, just go and watch a video. Back then, we had that. We saw Bernie Schultz's diagram. That's,
I know.
A picture, like a stick figure. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. All right. Hey, Big Polly in New York and a couple other people want to know, no weight. Why no weight?
No, I have a weight on there. I just don't have them rigged up at the time.
Okay, typically, do you like to beat them up? Because we've talked about this. Do you use a heavyweight, lightweight? What do you do, Dino?
It depends on the fish. If there's, I like to go with as light a weight as I possibly can, and I try to keep it a good distance. But when they're not like cooperating, I mean, like I want them to, and they're close or they're wandering around or something like that, then I go after them. Okay, if they start swimming away, I pitch the bait to them, or if they're coming in, I pitch. I don't want them aggravated to where when they do come back, that they're just going to be infuriated with anything that comes near them. They're going to bite. So a lot of times when you have them locked down on the bed, I always like to run it over their back or their tail. They're very protective about their tail. because they can't see back there. And so whenever you have line going across their back, or back behind them, they don't. It feels weird to them because that's how they move, is through the tail. So, when you get them to turn around, a lot of times I'll pop it, and just the initial bait of the bait hopping up and then fluttering is when they'll grab it. And if they don't, then it's just a matter of them doing twirls. And see, now, Mark, you get me all excited now because I'm gonna think about the 10-pounders. Okay, it was exactly like that, but they were so big in the bed. Okay, they didn't just turn around; they just kind of waddled around. They were just so big, and it's crazy. So I envision 9-pounders, turning around and eating the bait as a 2-pounder would, but it's all the same. And there are times when you catch the male off there and there's a female there that won't bite. Usually I start off, obviously with the warmouth, but if things get really, where I really want to irritate her, I pull out the big tube. And I don't know if I have them. I might have them over there, but the big Tora tubes and a swim bait. We have some stuff I can't show you. It's like really cool because it gets them fired up. And the thing about a big bait on a bed, whether it's a swim bait, Tora tube, whatever it might be, they're either going to run from it or they're going to go after it. I mean, it's a 50-50 deal. I mean, it's not like, hey, I'll think about it. It usually infuriates them, or they just said, heck no, I'm out of here. I'm gone. I don't want to deal with this anymore. That's the thing that happens when you throw a big bait in there. That's why the warmouth is so good, because it's not that big, but you can throw it in there, and they're going to eat it anyways. So I like to, obviously irritate them, but those fish up there, everybody thinks I spend a lot of time. Maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes was the most I spent on those. And the big one is a story in itself. It takes me about 20 minutes to tell a story because that's the meanest bass I ever came across in my life. It actually swam towards me and was looking at the trolling motor. I could watch it barking at it. It was actually opening his mouth like that. A 10-pounder sitting right in front of your trolling motor head in the water, barking at it. I mean, wait for the story. It is just, I got to tell you, because it's freaky. It's the meanest bass I have ever come across in my life.
All right, we're going to save that one. By the way, I remember that tube that Ish was using at Amistad. My gosh, it looked like a sex toy or something. It was ginormous. It was like a 10-inch tube.
Yeah, let me see if I got them over here. I took them on tour because we were going to see, I don't have all my stuff here because everything is, oh, there they are. Everything is in my truck, and it's on its way back here shortly. You see my dog? That's Eli. He's got his bone. He's happy. He's just happy. He's sitting there. You're going to come over and say hi? Okay. So he keeps me company out here. But, all right, we're going to get into the box here. Now, so Ish, I know he likes to throw the white one.
Yeah.
And I do too. But the green is the deal. See that
thing's ginormous.
I know, it is. You put like a 7-aught Gamakatsu monster hook in there. Actually, they make an 8 and a 9-aught now, but I mean it's huge. But like I said, guys, they either run from it or they go after it. So and my other box, I have like a lot of different colors and everything, but I think green pumpkins, you can't go wrong with that. So, I mean, it's like Clear Lake Delta. I mean, they got big bass up there, and you got to understand, a 10-pounder's mouth is that big. Okay, that's nothing. I mean, that is nothing. They're massive, and when you need to, they're not afraid of this. They're like, oh, I eat those things all the time. No big deal.
Wow.
So, but I always carry my boat when I'm under a sight fishing, because when I broke the record, when I had the 100 pounds at Santee Cooper, the one that Preston Clark won, I ended up using that right there, and I caught kind of 9 and a couple 6.5, 7-pounders on that when they wouldn't bite anything else. And that was before the warmouth. I mean, that was way before that. So, the evolution of everything, of how it's changing, but they'll still bite that. The big tube, stuff we have now, that's the latest and greatest. So.
All right, back to the instant feedback, Dino. Jay in Ontario wants to know, what is the best frog rod length and action for heavy mats and slop?
That's a great question on that, and I get that asked quite often. And the way I like to frog fish is more target oriented. So I use a 7-foot medium heavy ducket rod, the Pro Series, for that. But for the slop, like you're talking about, Jay, and stuff that's matted vegetation, and where you are not so much like target fishing, you are, but you're fishing a vast area. The fish could be anywhere in that mat. So I usually tend to go to like a 7.4, a 7.3, medium heavy, or actually a heavy, because you're not actually working the bait. You're kind of dragging it along and popping it a little bit. So you really don't need a whole lot of action on your rod tip. But I would use, I use 80-pound braid. I use 80-pound Sunline FX2. This is the braid that I designed for Sunline for my frogging and flipping line. And I use this 80-pound everywhere, whether I'm target casting or fishing big mats. And that's what you need is heavy line when you get the bite. Obviously set the hook, but a 7.4 rod set in that range, whatever you're comfortable with, is what I recommend. The next thing you need is really important is a high-speed reel, because especially when you're target fishing like I am, where you're going down the bank and you're skipping, you're hitting little targets where you think they're at. So many times when you skip it in there and you get into a nice little pocket and you get one twitch on it and bam, the fish comes, blows on it, set the hook. What does the fish do immediately? It either jumps or it starts taking off or starts swimming towards the boat. Before the invention of 7-to-1 gear ratio reels and 8-to-1 like we have now, 6.3 was the fastest we had. I can't tell you how many fish I lost on a 6.3 because I could never catch up. And I'd set the hook on them and wind as fast as I could, and I was still losing ground. The fish was coming right at me. And even now, a 7-to-1 almost isn't fast enough too. I have them where you hook them and they're like a freight train coming right at you. You're trying to keep steady pressure on it all the way to the boat. So I'm leaning now to a 7.4, paradigm ducket reel, into an 8-to-1 in that range, because I need the speed down for that. And it's changing. Not only that, it helps you make more casts, get the bait in quicker. More presentations means more casts. But when you're fishing matted vegetation, Jay, on that slop and stuff, I would go to a heavier rod. Make sure you got heavy line. A 7-to-1 would be perfect on the gear ratio reel, and lock down that drag. There is no drag. Don't give them any chance to get out of there.
All right, let's see here. Zach in Iowa wants to know, what are your thoughts on frogging on the upper Mississippi River?
One of my thoughts are one of my favorite places to go frogging. We had a bunch of riders conferences up there with Spro and Big Bites and Sunline. Mike Vallister does a great job of putting all this together. And we always go to the upper Mississippi. And in I think it's pool 7, 5, 6, and 7. I think it's somewhere up there. But before you get to La Crosse, in the upper Mississippi, and it is fun, man. I mean, when it gets right, it's some of the best frogging you can do. And hey, you know what I like to fish? I like to fish wing dams, okay? So wing dams are key up there because it stops the current. Usually that's where you get your grass mats, your little pads of lily pads and tules, and it's out of the current. And man, I love frogging against anything like that, because when you have like a hard edge like that, those fish can get right up next to the rock, especially if it's has duckweed in it. And you've got a little bit of depth. You got like 2 feet underneath there. Oh, that is like optimal, man. You put that bronzeye right on the rocks, and you get one twitch on it and you just cream them. I mean, it's awesome. But I like the Rainforest Black up there. Of course, it's really hard to beat Navy SEAL. Okay, everybody loves the black and blue, and that's our Navy SEAL there. Anything black up there works great. And that's the thing. People ask, what about colors and so forth? If you ask Ish, he'll say white is the best color. If you ask Cliff, he'll say, oh, the brown one or the black one. I mean, everybody has their favorites, and they all work. It's just a matter of what you're confident in and what you like to throw. We make, I think, 41 colors. I mean, take a look behind me. Those are all frogs. Okay, those are all different colors that you see up there, and they all work. We get pictures from Spro, from fans sending in their personal best on Barney, one on Neon Glow, or, it could be any color that's not a popular color, but they catch them out, like our camo color. I mean, it's an awesome bait. It's brown, got green on it, looks like a frog. People love that color, but you never see it, because it's just one of those things. And it's all about having fun when you're frogging, because when you know you're going to go frogging for the day, you're going to see an explosion, and you're going to have fun with it and enjoy it. It's no better way than to pick up your favorite Spro bronze eye frog and just go frogging with a buddy all day. It's a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles, a lot of heartbreak, but a lot of great pictures of big bass, so it's cool.
All right, Lee in Indiana wants to know, do you set the hook right away or do you wait?
That's a great question. Me personally, I set the hook as fast as I possibly can, and there are times when you think that you're too quick, but actually they never had the bait. So there's a lot of times where the fish will come up, especially this time of year, and they'll just swipe at it, or they'll bat at it, or blow it out, they'll punt it out of the water. I mean, there's a lot of things where they don't even want to eat it. They just want to take a shot at it. And that happens quite often this time of year when they're guarding the nest and everything, in and around fry and so forth. I mean, you can still catch them on it, but a lot of people go, well, you have a poor hookup ratio, you can't hook them. Well, a lot of times they don't even get the bait. It looks like it with all that water going everywhere, but they miss it. So if a fish wants to get the bait, he's going to get it, okay? So I always give the fish ample opportunity. If I'm fishing like matted vegetation, or I've got holes or something where I don't want to have anything that it's going to interfere with the fish coming up to get the bait. So one of my least favorite places to fish, and this might be a shocker to everybody, but I do not like to fish lily pads, okay? Because lily pads, unless that's the only thing you got to fish, lily pads, there's too much in the way of the fish to get the bait, whether it's a stem or the way it's coming at the bait. A leaf could get in the way of them actually getting the bait. It could cover up the whole bait. And I lose a lot of fish, especially when you hook them in that stuff. You got them pinned and you want to wrench them out of there, you end up ripping them out. But I like to give it the frog, when I'm working it around cover, when I know there's an open area, I'll let it sit there and pause it and work it real slow. And you've seen me on my videos, on all the TV shows that I've done with it, how I sit there and I walk it in place. Give every opportunity for that fish to get the bait. That is key, because you are increasing your chances of hooking and landing the fish. So as soon as he comes up and you see the explosion, I've seen a lot of them. So obviously, I a lot of times I'm looking at the bait and actually I see the fish just take the bait and then set the hook. I set the hook as soon as I can. And I can't tell you how many times I set the hook as fast as I possibly could, and it was down their gullet. I mean, it was going down the chute. So you got to really gauge it. And sometimes if you're not sure, just don't set the hook. Let them run with it. I mean, if that's what you want to do. But for me, it's all about efficiency and covering water and getting the bite, hooking them, putting them in the boat.
All right, Chris B wants to know, do you like softer frogs, and do you do anything to soften the frogs that you use?
No, I don't. I don't like to have, so the soft frogs, there's a fine line between having soft frog and a hard frog that makes it difficult to set the hook, okay? So when we created the bronze eye, okay, I wanted a bait that was soft and pliable, but you don't want them too soft because then they start to rip and tear, okay? So we didn't want to go that to where, the guy catches 2 or 3 bass on it and it's so soft, it's great, but it rips and it tears. The problem with the soft ones too as well, when they impact the water, they compress. So when a frog, when it hits the water, it compresses a little bit. So when it pops back into shape, it sucks water in. Okay, it's got to fill that void of, the actual bait is sucking the water into the frog. So when you have a soft bait like that, it's more pliable and more for water to get inside the bait. Okay, so a lot of the things and that's we've talked about it many times. I don't do any alterations to my Spro Bronzes because we have the right recipe when it comes to longevity. Don't get me wrong, I rip and tear them because I caught 15 or 20 on them, but I know that this bait is good for 10 or 15 bass to anybody out there. And that's what you want. You want somebody to have a positive experience with your bait. If it stinks, if it takes on water, it's too soft, it tears, it doesn't hook them right, all that stuff, you're going to have a negative experience towards that bait. And you're not going to want to buy any more of it. That's why we've been so successful at Spros, because it is the best one. If you look out there, they're all modeled after this one. There may be some small alterations toward it, but the way the hook, the way it's designed, the way it compresses, the way everything about it is, we made it the best that I could possibly make it to where somebody would have a positive experience on the water. And it's just been I designed this thing in 2005, so we're going on 15 years now. And it's still the #1 selling frog. I mean, it's the best, tried and true. When the money's on the line and you need to catch them, this is what you got on.
All right, very nice. JJ wants to know, application-wise, situation-wise, when do you use a poppin' frog versus a regular frog?
Great question. And I always have one of them tied on. This poppin' frog, and now I have the spit shad tied on as well. Now I got 3 of them and the original bronze-eye. Those are my 3 go-tos, and I'll tell you why. Because if they're it all depends on the cover I'm fishing as well. And if I'm on a good frog bite where I'm just going down the bank, just throwing at everything, there are certain frogs that are better for certain situations. Okay, we'll just start with the poppin' frog. The poppin' frog is great for like seawalls, riprap, sparse vegetation, where you're working around hydrillomats, something that's going to cause some commotion and not get hung up. A poppin' frog is not good to fish around wood, lily pads, tules, stuff like that, because the cup wants to grab everything. Okay, and so you can't work it efficiently through that. The cup will want to grab a limb, and it's not good at all. Okay, so those are the things that are a great thing about the poppin' frog. The bronze-eye, the original bronze-eye that we have, like that, this one can be thrown anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can throw it in and around a mat, flooded vegetation, working on top, chug it along, or you can skip it underneath docks, you can skip it underneath trees. It's a great open water frog, but it goes through wood really good. And it goes through tules really good. It goes through pads really good because there's nothing to grab. Everything is smooth up here in the front of the bait itself. And that's when I designed it. I wanted that to where this would just slide through cover easy and look as natural as it possibly could. And so I got to show you the spit shad because it's what I used to win Smith Mountain. I got them on here. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, but you want to see something cool? That is the one I won Smith Mountain on right there. That's my spit shad. You saw me on the final day catching a bunch of them. You see all the teeth marks and everything. Now you notice I have the hooks bent out. See that right there? You see how well the spit shad flaxes and those hooks there? What you want right there. See how they're just on the edge. Let's see. We'll get it later. But anyways, that's the bait. That's the cool thing about it. It's like a hybrid between a poppin' frog and a regular bronze-eye, because the lip, as you can see, has a release point on the bottom. Okay, if it grabs it, it's going to release it down here on the bottom. So this is a great hybrid that will work in anywhere. I don't care where you want to throw it. It's gonna catch fish. And I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time because the poppin' frog is very popular. People love it. It is right there on sales and then our bronze-eye. I mean, they're right 1 and 2. They're incredible. You catch a lot of fish on the poppin' frog. But this is a hybrid. This is the one that you can have the best of both worlds on that bait right there. I mean, it is awesome. The tails, it's built to walk back and forth. The tails are up and down, exactly what you want for a lot of action. And compresses really good, great colors, awesome stuff. So I'm going to show you a little deal here too. We are working on, we're talking about Poppin' Frog, the big one. Okay, that's a 5/0 Gamakatsu Superline hook in that bait right there. That is our new one coming out. It's going to be released at ICAST this year. We've been working on it for just about a year now. We want to make sure it's right. We want to make sure it's soft and compresses really nice to where you're going to have ample hook setting potential to, because everybody wanted a bigger Poppin' Frog. Right there. That's what you want. So that's coming. All the great colors, all that good stuff. So stuff that's going to be introduced at ICAST this year.
All right. Very cool. A lot of people want to know about trimming the skirt legs. What can you say about that?
So this is the way they used to come, like this. Okay. They're nice. They see how long they are. Okay. That's a Bronzeye 65. Okay. So it depends. Sometimes the earlier ones had long legs like this, and it's what's cool about frogging is you can do whatever you want to them. You can trick them out. You could add, weight to them. You could add rattles inside of them. You could cut all the legs off, or you can trim them. Whatever you want to do. I know what I like to do, and that's probably what like some of the other guys don't like to do. So it's all about you and your bait. That's the cool thing about it. We made it to where you can customize it to whatever you want to do. So on something like this, let me get a pair of scissors. So what I do, okay, because they come long like that, and a lot of people like them long, okay, because the bait chugs in the water. It doesn't have a lot of side-to-side action because it's dragging all of this behind it, okay? The shorter you make these, the more action it has because it frees up the back of the bait, all right? So when you have like a spit shad where everything is straight up and down, it encourages it to go back and forth, okay? That's what you want. You want a swimming action. But we're back to the frog on this end. So you got to remember the water is in here and it's dragging all this behind, okay? Which kills the action of the bait. If you want to walk it, if you want to chug it and move it, make a lot of commotion, that's what you want. You want those long legs because it causes it to drag in the water. And I mean, I know like Bobby Lane, he loves our frog. That's all he throws. He loves them long like that. James Watson, same thing. They all love the legs really long on the Spros. And so and it's whatever you want to do. So some of the packaging that we have them where they're already cut that I like to trim them at. And I'm going to show you a good gauge on where I trim them. So if we were to take the frog like you have here, you take the legs and you bring them all the way up. Okay. So right where the line tie is. Okay. See that right there? The line tie. See that? So what I do, that is a good gauge for me. So I flip the frog over. Okay. And I want to cut the excess off. So see right there? That's the excess. So that's what we're going to do. So we take that. I already know it. I can feel it in my hands. I already know where it's at because I've done 1,000 of them. So you cut them off. Okay. There you have that. So if you were to bring it all the way around, there it is right there at the top. It's exactly what you want. And then do the other side. So that's what you have. At that point, you have a frog that is more proportioned. Okay. Now, I know guys who take all of this out. I mean, there is nothing in here. And they close these up, they nub them up, and they just don't even have a skirt on them. And they love them. I mean, I've seen it, and they kill them on it. But you can cut these to where they're just spiked out to here. I'm gonna sacrifice this one because I just want to show the fans, the things that you can do to it now. So this is what I prefer. This is what I use probably 90% of the time because it's got great action. But a lot of guys will even go like half of that. And they'll do that. Or it's just nubs, okay? So this really frees up the bait. Now you just have something that's small enough that, the legs aren't going to get hung up on, and you're really not worried about this. You're more worried about the vibration that's coming off the frog that's attracting the bass to come and get it. So, and you can get into a lot of, it has a different action, and you got to try it. If you got a junk frog at home, or one that's thrashed or something like that, just go ahead and trim it and try it, because, it's something different. And I've seen it work because I fish with guys who've done that to them, and it changes everything. And that's the cool thing about with the Spro Bronzeye frog. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's cool. You can custom paint them. You can make whatever you want. It's got all the great hardware on it, great Gamakatsu hooks. All the components are stainless. Everything. There's solid eyes. There's nowhere where the braid can go. It's perfect. I mean, it is the best thing that you could do to a bait to increase your chance of catching a bass.
Hey, Dean, Scott in Virginia wants to know, what's the water temp when you start throwing it?
The water temp, I will throw it in the mid 50s. Depending, again, it depends if we've had a warming trend, like the last 2 or 3 days. It got like to 70 and the water's on the rise. I'm talking about springtime, and the water's creeping up because when it starts getting in the mid 50s, them fish are up there moving around. Okay, those early spawners are up there looking around, and they get shallow, and it's an easy meal. It's not a really, you're not gonna catch a whole lot of fish on it, and you may not catch big ones doing it. But if you're just a frog freak like I am, you just want to catch one on one, you can go ahead and do that. And the optimum temperature that I really like is about 63 to 67 in that range, because I'm talking about the springtime, because they are up there. I mean, every bass, the majority of the bass are close or near to the bank. For one, they're either spawning, post-spawn, shad spawn, or just, feeding, running around, just eating things, because they're at the spawn. So those are things that you get a lot of bites on a frog. And the cool thing about the bait is you could throw it anywhere and not get hung up. It's skipping under docks or limbs, tulies, bushes. It doesn't matter where it's at. You can put it in places. When the fish are up there, they're going to eat. The coldest water I've ever caught a bass was at the Lake Classic during practice. Actually, I caught one in the tournament too. I'll never forget this. It was 35 degrees out. We were practicing, and I saw some fish bowling a mat. And I saw a couple bait fish move, and I went, "Oh, yeah, cool." So I dug out my frog. Okay, my water temperature 43 degrees, but they're chasing bait. I mean, they're active. So throw it over there. I get 2 twitches on it, and just goes kaboom! 43. And it's 35 degrees out with a north wind, all right? And I went, wow. Well, and I didn't catch that one. I caught another one just after that. And it was 43 degree temperature was the coldest I ever did. I ended up catching 2 in the actual classic itself. The water temperature is probably right on 50, 51. And that's, it's not like you're going to win doing that. But for me, it was like I saw the limitations of how far I could push the envelope. And that was the coldest I've ever caught one. On the flip side, I've caught them in 98, 99 degree water temperature here in Havasu and some of the backwaters that, when it's piping hot, I mean, it's hot. And but they get real super shallow on a lot of that place, especially on the river systems when it's that hot. So just a wide variety. It's just a matter of picking the right time and window if you're fishing a tournament, to win on them. Or if you just want to go fun fishing, just go frogging. Just frog all day long if you want. I mean, it's whatever. Just have fun with it. That's the whole idea.
Very cool. All right, Scott in California wants to know, talk a little bit about your follow-up bait. What is your theory on that? Do you do it? And if you do it, is it a conditional thing? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question on that, because, ones that swipe at it or miss it, like I mentioned before, either they just miss it, or they punt it, or they just want to get it out of there. And a lot of times my follow-up bait, immediately I go right back in there again. Okay, that's my next thing. And I slow the bait way down. I'll put it back in the pocket and just really walk it back and forth in place, and not get, give every opportunity for that fish to grab it again, like it's injured it when it took a swipe at it. When you don't get a bite, okay, and I think a lot of times some of the strikes are so violent when they come up and blast it, whether they miss it or they try to get it, there was something that got in the way. I think sometimes it scares them, because, I'll have them come thrashing through things and they miss the bait and they just torn everything up there. It's like I think I don't know why I think they just scare themselves because they don't come back sometimes. Follow-up bait, obviously the frog will come back. And then that's when I flip my big bite fighting frog in there. Usually is a good follow-up bait. That way, if the fish is coming up for it, obviously he's gone back down. You throw a bait that's gone back down where he's at his level. Maybe he thinks that it sank, and that's a good follow bait. Or you could throw a trick stick, anything like that. Something that's weightless can work too. But I got to tell you this reminded me. I got to tell you the story about one of the best explosions I ever had in my life, Mark. And you remember this tournament? We were at Dardanelle, and it was during one of the majors, and it was an event that this is when frogging was like, this is like 07, 08, and I had my batch of frogs, and nobody was really throwing it. I think Fred was throwing it too as well at that time. But I'll never forget as I was pulled up to this little tule patch, and I fire the bait out there, and I get 2 twitches on it. And I see this big one. it's 7 pounds. Okay, comes out of nowhere and just sit there and punted my frog. Okay, punted it, and when it hit it so hard and so violent, it threw it into the tules. Okay, so my bait. My bait is not even in the water, and this fish is frantically going like this, looking for it. It was amazing. I sat there, and I'm like, oh my God, and all I see is him looking for it. He wants to kill this thing, all right? He wants to eat it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting there, and I'm humming the dang tules. I'm pulling the dang thing to get out of there, because I need to get it back in there, right? So I'm sitting there, pulling on it, and he's just like, you see his fins just going like, because he's right on the top of the water column. He's looking for it. And I get the thing finally back, and I put it back in there, and then I'm like, I look back because I have to fix my frog, and I look, and I where the heck is he? And I threw right back in there again, and man, I got 2 twitches on it. Here he comes again. Boom! Just smoked it. It was incredible watching the pounder crush your frog in like 2.5 feet of water, and I hooked him, landed him, put him in the boat, one big bass of the day. It was awesome, dude. It was the most spectacular. And what was cool about it was Iconelli was about 100 yards from me at that time. And, of course, the explosion was so loud. He didn't hear the first one, but then, obviously when I hooked it, it just went nuts. And all you hear is the braid screaming through the guides, the reels. And, and he just sat there and watched them. And he goes, man, that was a big one. I said, it was awesome. It was one of the best strikes ever, and I've seen a lot of them, but man, that was really special there, because I saw the whole thing, and to watch how angry he was and how he wanted to kill something. It was incredible to watch that, a big fish like that just wanting to feed. It was, yeah,
very cool. All right, Matt in Minnesota wants to know, what's the biggest fish that you've caught on a frog?
That's a great question, Matt. It is in Mark Jeffrey's home state, of all places. This was during, that's the coolest story. I got to tell you the story too, because we were out practicing for an elite, and that's when I made the final round in it. So there was a lot of TV time on it, a lot of views on YouTube. But in practice, okay, I'm fishing up the elk, and at the time the water was high, so they're up and around the willows up there, and I'm skipping my frog, getting up under the trees and everything. And this is right before I figured out what I really found. After this fish kind of showed to me, I made this skip all the way back up underneath there, and I'm watching my frog, walking it back and forth. And all I see is this big thing, which I think is a carp, okay, because it's so big. Just come up and go, boop. It's like, it just went like that. No splash, no nothing. And I look, my bait's gone. Okay, all the while, all of a sudden I hear a boat coming up, right? And of all times I get a frog bite, one of the competitors is coming by. So I sat there and I just, kind of lazily set the hook, because I didn't know what, I'm like, oh, it's a dang carp, because I've had carp go after him before. And so I'm winding it, I'm hooking it, all of a sudden the sucker jumps, okay? And it's like that big. It is well over 10 pounds, okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I hear a boat coming. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm sitting here and I'm fighting it, and I got to the point where I just sat there and the boat's coming. I mean, now I can see him. So drop my rod, I hit free spool, okay, and then I sit there on the deck and I open up my rod box, like acting like okay. This is a decoy, by the way. Okay, I don't want them to know what is actually happening. And so I'm fiddling around, just kind of faking it, because like I'm digging for something, right? All the while my rod is going, okay? It's heading off into the channel, and everybody knows the channel back there, okay? So it's going out towards that way, and so I have to put my foot on the rod, and it's backlashing the reel, okay? Because every time the fish goes, the spool is spinning, okay?
Yeah.
And it's Rick Clunn that drives by. And he waves, and I wave back, and I'm like, and he starts slowing down. I'm like, come on, Rick, hurry up, just go around the corner. So he ends up going around the corner, and half of my line is off my reel by this time. So I pick it up, right, and I start winding it, and the fish is in the middle of the channel, in the middle of the Elk River. Okay, by this time. You're fighting a 10-pounder, all right, on the frog in the middle of the channel over 30 feet of water like this. Okay, so it took me a long time to get the fish in, but it was probably about a 10-pounder. It was one of the biggest frogfish I've ever caught. No, it was the biggest one I've ever caught. I did catch one up at the Delta, which we have some footage of when we did the Gander on Tour stuff. That was 9, and but that one was incredible. But it showed me where they were at. Ended up, doing very well there in Grand, and got a top 5, I think, in that one. Almost won that one as well. It's the one that Mike McClellan won, fishing deep brush piles.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool stuff.
Did you ever tell Rick that story?
No, I haven't. I should. Tell you, one of the best compliments I ever got, and all those guys are all my heroes. Denny Brower, Bill Dance. I mean, there's so many guys that paved the way for me. I'm so grateful. Much as we're paving the way for the new generation coming behind us, I'm in awe of them. It means so much to me. And I've always wanted just to fish with some of them. I've always wanted to fish with Kevin Van Dam. Some of the icons that they were on tour before I even got there. So I look up to them because of their experience and their will to win, their passion for the sport, they're motivated, they're driven. I mean, that's me. That's who I am, and I aspire to be that good and that great as they are. And we fished a tournament at Old Hickory Lake, and again, it was on a frog deal. I wore them out, and finished in the top 3 or 4 there. And Rick Clunn, I was sitting there, and this is after the weigh-in and everything. He made the top 10 as well, and I was talking to some fans, of course, frog questions at that time, and he walks up to me, and he goes, "Hey, Dean." And I go, "Hey, Rick." He goes, "Can I have a word with you?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem at all." And he goes, I am so impressed with the way you have created this whole new technique, and that you have poured everything you have into this, frogging deal, and to learn everything about it." And he says, "I would love to teach you everything about a square bill and everything that I do and all the nuances and everything, if you would take me fishing."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Rick, I would love to go fishing with you. Can you see me, Mark? Because my battery is about dead."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I might lose you. So, but at that moment, my heart sank, because, I mean, here's an icon of mine, a friend, and somebody I looked up to and followed my whole career that's got me to this point, wanting to go fishing with me. And that was so cool. And I said, "Rick, I would love to go. I would just absolutely love to go fishing with you. It'd be like a childhood dream for me to be in the same boat as you and to do all that stuff." And so he says, "Well, let's set it up." I said, "I want to learn about square bill, and I want to hear what you have to say. I want to see from the master, how you do it and what you do." And he goes, "I'd love to show you." And then, things kind of got in the way, just, things. And then after that was the Gunnersville tournament, where we just murdered them. I think that was when Byron Velvick, all those guys just killed lots.
Yeah.
I mean, we just fishing was good. Well, anyways, I could go out and catch 20 pounds of frogfish, no problem at all. And I told him during in practice, I said, whenever you're done here, let's go frogging and I'll show you. Well, little did I know he was catching cranking better than I was catching frogging. So he ended up finishing fourth or third in that event, and I finished a measly 35th or something like that. So it was incredible.
Van Dam ever ask you for a frog? Hey, Dino, man, can you spare a couple of frogs there, dude?
Yeah, I have another Kevin Van Dam story for you on that one. So we were fishing in Arkansas, on the Arkansas River, down there in downtown Little Rock on the lower pool. And this is when the frogs first came out, and I was catching really good in the shallow grass. And that's when the frog was really big at that time. And he came to me in practice. He says, "You got some frogs for me?" I said, "I don't know, maybe, you know." And he goes, "Come on, Rojas." I go, "Kevin, when have you ever gave me anything? When have you ever said, 'Hey, Dean, this is the crankbait you want to throw? Okay, this is what you want to do?'" And he looks at me, those blue eyes, sitting there looking at me and not saying a word. I said, when have you ever done that?" "Well, you never ask." I said, "I've asked a couple of times, and all I get is, 'Oh, yeah, we'll get it to you.'" "Well, I'm telling you right now, yeah, I'll get some to you." "Okay." "Okay, well, fine. You know, no. I said, "You don't need them anyways here. You'll be fine. Just throw your crankbait. You'll catch them." You know. It's Kevin. And so later on that event, okay, we're down the river and he's going by me and he sees me fishing the main river channel, okay, and he shuts down just past me, okay. And when he did that, I didn't know what the heck he was doing. My marshal at the time in the boat, he goes, "What's he doing?" And I don't know what he was doing. I mean, there's nothing there. He shuts down, okay, and he gets up and he starts casting in the middle of the channel. All the while, as his boat comes to a rest, here come the boat waves, okay, from him. It was flat calm where I was fishing. Now all of a sudden I've got 2-foot waves crashing down onto where I'm fishing. And I go, "Hey," I'm yelling, I'm going, "Hey." He goes, "What?" I go, "What are you doing?" "Well, there's some fish busting right here." I go, "No, there wasn't." I said, "Look what you did to my bank." I mean, there's waves just crashing on us. I mean, there ain't a bass up there now. I said, "You ruined my area." He goes, "Well, I don't know what you want to do. There was 3-pounders busting out here." I go, "No, there wasn't, because you're 100 yards from me." I said, "You ruined my whole area." Of course, think about Kevin. You know, he's great. I love Kevin to death. But I know what buttons to push with him, and have some fun with him. And of course, he knows mine too. So it works both ways. But at the end of the day, he got all, you know, working up and then he just got up and just left. And when he did that, I told my marshal, I said, "Man, he is spun out. He is going to be like the rest of the day." So here we come. Here comes the weighing time at the dock, and I'm sitting there. My marshal's there. I go, "Watch this." You know, here he comes loping. You know how he walks, sandals. You know, 6'4", loping, and he's making a beeline for me. And he says, he points at me. He goes, "Look, Dean." He goes, "I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm sorry if I messed up your water. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. But didn't you see him break?" I go, "No, there wasn't, Kevin. There wasn't." "Oh, yes, there was." I go, "Whatever. Okay, whatever." He goes, "I just want to say I'm sorry. And where are my frogs? I need my frogs right now." So I went to my box and I gave him some frogs, and that's the kind of we have with Kevin, and just a great individual, and just a joy to be around, and the best that ever is and ever was and ever will be. I mean, he's the GOAT. There's no doubt about that.
All right, man, a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Scott in Oklahoma wants to know, where did you catch your first largemouth ever?
Oh, that's a good question. See, back in the day, in the 80s, okay, this is a long time ago. I mean, I can tell you some stories about that. But my first bass I ever caught, there was a lake in San Diego called Choice Lake. It was a kid's lake. You had to be 15 years or younger to fish it, you know, kid's lake. Well, it was about a mile from my house, so I'd ride my bike there. But when I was little, probably about 7 or 8 years old, my older brother, we would go down and go after catch bluegill. And we would use sliced cheese, you roll up in a little ball, put on a little hook and catch, you know, a little bluegill, you know, that big, you know, just fun fishing. And then I'll remember this very vividly because there was a couple kids that were bass fishing, and of course I never had the tackle to do any of that, and I watched them catch a bass. And I'll never forget, the coloration was so beautiful because the water was crystal clear, so they light up. They got a lot of coloration in them, and I remember when he caught them, and it was probably a 12-incher, but at the time when I was little, it could have been a 5-pounder. Wow, man, look at that. A bass. Actually, that's a bass. You hear people talking about it. And so that's when it all came about. And then at that time, instead of using cheese, we went and bought night crawlers, or red worms. And I caught my very first bass on a night crawler. And I saw it. I saw it swimming. And of course, that's when it all started and clicking in my mind to catch a bass. And then, going back from there, I would go back to every day after school. And if I had night crawlers or I had pieces of night crawler, I was always, I think my first bass I caught was about 10 inches long, little guy, but it was so beautiful. And at that point I was hooked. And, in high school, I never went to any proms. I never went to any dances. I didn't go to football games. I played baseball and I played golf, but every day I had after school, I went fishing. And I had a group, and I was a nerd in high school because fishing was not cool when I grew up. Okay, it was all about jocks and sports, and I played sports, but I would carry my fishing magazines in my classroom with me and just read them all day long with my history book. Mark, you've seen this before.
Oh yeah.
And you're a teacher, so I'm reading my fishing stuff, and of course I was the nerd and the geek because I like to fish, and it's not a cool thing to do. But I ran with some kids. So we would go to golf course ponds. Let me tell you some stories about that. And the cool stuff about sneaking in. And we snuck into a cemetery one time to fish that pond in the cemetery. That was cool.
Jeez.
We got caught. I was held at gunpoint one time for fishing a little pond. I got great stories, man. I can tell you, all in capturing a little bass about 2 pounds. The things that we did back then, that's what motivated us. We didn't want to eat them or keep them. We just wanted to catch them. It was part of the adventure and the journey. Crazy stuff, man, but fun stuff. Memories that I'll have forever. And I look back on it, I go, man, that was you couldn't do it now. I mean, it's a lot different now than it was back then. But we didn't have anything. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have anything. We were out playing. I mean, we just were out. We'd ride our bikes and we'd drive. If somebody had a car, we piled 5 of us in the car, and we were going fishing. We didn't care. We were all together and just having fun, man, just living. And just, and that's where my love of bass fishing came from. And it's such a part of me and my heart and my soul and my life. Even to this day, I want to go fishing right now. I mean, I want to go on the lake and catch a bass because it never gets old.
That's cool stuff. All right. I want to hear the cemetery story sometime. Not now.
Oh.
Wow. All right. Todd in Iowa wants to know, what's the biggest advantage, you being a shallow water guy, what's the biggest advantage using the new Lowrance live site?
Well, the great thing about that on the live scope on all that is that the live site, excuse me, the thing about you could see everything in front of you. And a lot of times you want to be able to see the depth changes and so forth in front of you, because there's so many times you go into the back of the pocket and you really don't know how shallow it is. And you're like, man, if I could just see up ahead of me, where the actual bottom is, it helps you. Instead of wasting time, it makes you more efficient with what you're doing when you're going down the bank. And any kind of tool like that, and that's what I run right now is a Ghost trolling motor, and it's a great trolling motor. I love it. I had one of the first ones about 2 years ago. And I still have it. So it's on one of the boats in here, and it's a phenomenal quiet trolling motor. And when it's matched up with the live, it really helps you paint a picture underneath the water of where you want to be at, especially when there's patches of grass or a tree or a lay down. A lot of times, we're so visual, we're always looking at the stick at the top of the surface, and it can only be 2 feet. The thing about frogging is it's easy. It's just as easy for them to come up a foot to grab something than it is to go down a foot to get something. So once you have that train of thought, like it's never too deep or never too shallow, because it doesn't take much for them to come to the service to get it. If you can see that on your Lowrance, I use an HDS 16 Live up front. Believe me, it's like a movie screen up there, and I love it. I can see everything that is, it paints a picture for me, and it makes me more efficient. My casts, my presentations, I know exactly where to throw the bait now, instead of a process of elimination, going through the whole cove or pocket or whatever it might be. And it also helps you to slow the bait down, because there's a little brush pile or a patch of grass just underneath the water. So any of those tools that you can use, especially the Lowrance technology with their trolling motor, is phenomenal. And I have to applaud them, because they worked really hard on that, and it's a great unit. And you need to take advantage of all the stuff that's out there, and it's hard for the older guys, because, and I hate to say I'm older, but it's a deal where we have made the biggest evolution change from reading stuff in a magazine and trying to depict something to now all of a sudden we have video at our fingertips, and then now we have live stuff that's actually happening live on our Lowrance screens. So you have all of that. That is, it goes away from all of the stuff that we brought up, but that's how you become better. You keep an open mind, always moving with the times, creating new stuff, and constantly evolving. And that's what you have to do. You can't change. You have to change. If you don't change, you're gonna be left behind. And I don't want to be left behind. I want to be up front.
All right, very cool, man. Last question. Our good friend Errol Duckett in North Carolina wants to know, are the 1.5 pound bluegill biting on havasu yet?
Oh, sweet. Hey, Errol, hope everything's good there. Hope you're doing well. Errol's a great, obviously Boyd's brother. Yeah. And hanging out with him. Errol, it's coming. And so, on my phone here. So, yes, the bluegill, the red ear are right after the bass when they start spawning, and that is getting really close. The water temperature needs to get in the high 60s to low 70s, and once it does that, then you're going to start seeing the big circles and the fish up there spawning and so forth, and that's the time to come catch a big red ear. I'm going to show you a picture of a red ear that every year I go out with the Game and Fish guys here in Arizona. We do a shocking survey. I help them and assist them with all the stuff that they do for numbers and trying to show the population of the fish of all the species and so forth. And the cool thing was the night we were there. I'll show you that's on my phone. That right there, folks, is a 457.
Oh my gosh!
A 457. See that right there?
Unbelievable!
I scooped that one up. Look at my hands.
That is a freak.
It is a freak. Mark, that's not even a big one. And my biggest is a 497. Okay, so I caught one just bigger than this about 5 years ago, and that right there was a 457. Now we were shocking at night. Okay, so when we went down the bank and we shocked them, there was one that was bigger, that was about 3 feet just outside of him, outside of the cone when it shoots down the electricity, and it stuns him. But he was just on the edge, and he got hit with it, and then he kind of quivered, and then he swam away into the deeper water. But that one got right into my head. And that is a 457. So the world record is a 578, almost 6 pounds, 5 3/4. And that there's two of them. There was another 5.5 pounder caught, I think, about 2 months ago. And I usually catch the big ones in the wintertime. The ones that they're spawning, you can catch all the 2 or 3 pounders you want when they're spawning on the beds. But don't take them. I mean, it's they're a huge the reason why they're getting so big out here is because of the quagga mussels. Okay, we have quagga mussels in the whole Colorado River, and the actual population of the quaggas has gone down drastically. I mean, you can't even see them anymore, and it's because of the red ear. They eat them. And the Game of Fish, they know exactly what's going on. We love the red ears, but those little mussels are like steroid pills for the red ear. I mean, them things are growing, and Mark, they're thick, man. I mean, it's like you hold them like this. I mean, like your whole hand. They're just massive. I mean, just freaks. It's awesome, dude. So all of May, June, and July. It's hot here. It's in the hundreds, but you can go up there in the backs of the pockets and see them. They're beautiful. The males get all black and everything, and the females are like that, just big, beautiful, blustery, just like them things, but only bluegill. It's cool. I mean, they're freakish looking, but it's awesome. So, Errol, come on out. Let's go. If you fly out here, I'll take you fishing. We'll go catch some 2 and 3 pounders.
Jeez, who would think that you would have your best 5 bluegill weigh 20 pounds?
I know. Mark, when my career someday, 20 years from now, gets to a close, I think that my new thing would be to try to catch the world record red ear. I have an idea where they're at, where they live, and I think I could probably do it, and just in gear for them, and actually just do it, and try and catch a 6-pounder.
Wow. Well, that's too cool.
It's freak, dude. I mean, it's oh my God. You get me all excited talking about it.
That is really cool. All right, Dino, man. We went 2 hours, dude. 2 hours. And the feedback from the fans has been outstanding, and just some great stuff. Great frogging stuff. Great sight fishing stuff. And, dude, you are welcome anytime you want to come back and co-host on this show.
Well, as soon as Matt bails out on you again, I'd love to co-host and ask some of the guys. You need to have a pro on pro, ask them the hard questions that I know that the fans are, and probably the ones that he doesn't want to answer. So I think it'd be kind of cool to mix it up a little bit.
All right. Very cool. I will look into that. All right. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. 2 hours of BTL and great stuff here on a Tuesday. Tomorrow, Bradley Holman in studio. And then on Thursday, something that I look forward to when we do it, the Sunline Hotline Show, where we hear from you, the fans. So can't wait for that. Dino, great job. And that's going to wrap it up. We will let you know tomorrow. I don't know if Matt's going to give up the juice. Who wins? He better. All right. I don't want to be this tease stuff. I want to know who won. So hopefully we will find out tomorrow between Matt and Christie. Dino, be safe, man. We will talk to you soon. That's it. We're out of here.